Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Come on, man. Well, come on and watch. Rene Figueroa Jr. and Shawn Michaels, they're the duo from California. They make up the Come On Man Sports Podcast. So let's get right into it. Hey, Shawn and Rene, thanks for coming to the show.
What's up,
Thanks
man?
for having us.
No problem. So it's Come On Man Sports, and you guys catch them on Instagram at Come On Man Sports. It's the Come On Man Sports Podcast. So again, appreciate you coming on. How'd you get this started? What was the idea behind it? Like, what's the story?
So I was actually stationed overseas for a little while. We had talked about it a couple months before we even started the podcast. When I come back, possibly starting a podcast. But when the whole COVID thing happened, we wanted to find a way to keep talking about sports despite sports kind of being shut down, and kind of just spread our passion maybe to other people and share our opinion with other people.
Right. So how did you guys meet? Like, how do you know each other?
It's our wives, they're cousins, and we just met that way. We actually live across the street, so he's actually over there, I'm over here. So we're really close. We're getting closer. We haven't known each other too long, but long enough where we share this passion of sports. Shawn does all the graphics design part of the show and the social media, and then I take care of like the audio, the music, and all the editing and that stuff. And then with that we're able to go ahead and create a show, just us two, and be able to handle everything. It's pretty cool, and we have fun at the same time.
Right. Now, just the different areas where you show, I guess, through Anchor, available on Spotify. And what other areas can people find your show?
Apple Podcasts, I know that. You know the other ones, Rene? There's 8 platforms.
Yeah, Google Podcasts. They're all listed on if you go to anchor.fm/comeonmansports, there's a list right there of all of them. There's like about 8 or 9 of them, but the main ones are Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts.
Gotcha. Now, in terms of this, I guess you cover a wide range of sports, but in terms of anything with baseball, have any of you played baseball, maybe like in high school or little league or even college?
I played growing up from when I was a kindergartner into my freshman year in high school, and then I stopped playing to focus on football. Always going to Dodger games and stuff, of course, but that's like my main relation with baseball is I played little league basically my whole childhood.
Yeah. Same with me. The problem is I really sucked.
Yeah, I was a good pitcher. But then when I took those a couple years off for football and I wanted to play my senior year, and the coach was like, well, you're not a good pitcher anymore.
I tried out, when I was in high school. The thing is, growing up, I never learned the fundamentals. So when I went to try out for, high school and middle school, there was kids there that were just way advanced, and it just didn't work out for me. But I continued to like watching and going, to games and, learning about it and just being a fan,
Right. Now, so obviously with baseball right now, the latest news, of course, is that now the owners are, they came back with the players wanted 114 games, but then the owner said, hey, let's cut down this to 50 games. So, I mean, if you're talking about 50 games, even though we all want to see baseball, at that point, is even worth having a season?
In my opinion, no, it's not. It's not worth it. I mean, 50 games. There's really no. I mean, what 50 games? I mean, so is that including playoffs or that's just a season? I'm not even sure about that. But I mean, if it's just
the regular season, then they'll have playoffs after that.
Yeah, I mean, 50 games. I don't even. I think after teams start to really feel it the second half of the season, usually after the All-Star break, you got teams that are starting to get heat up, but you're not going to start heating up, game 30, game 40 or something like that. So, and I really don't really agree with that, and if that's the case, they should just go ahead and just put an end to it for this year and just get ready for next year, because, I mean, even if it's some form of baseball, 50 games, I mean, you really can't do much with that, in my opinion.
Another thing that I constantly always thinking about when I'm talking about this whole possibility of the season not happening is, I hate to think about it this way, but the money wise for the players at least, playing a 50-game season, taking a huge pay cut, and what if you have a catastrophic arm injury or something that ends your career during this half season, quarter of a season situation? 50 games isn't even as long as an NBA season. So, I mean, the last one I had heard was 80 games or 82 games. But yeah, if they're doing a shortened season and they're cutting the players' pay to the point where, they're basically putting their entire careers on the line, it's going to be hard to make a season happen. I think both sides, in order to make a season happen, have to understand what they're sacrificing to do it, basically. The players have to understand they're taking a huge chance that they could get hurt or something could happen to them, whether it's getting sick or getting hurt, that could affect their entire lives. And the owners have to understand that the players are in that situation, and you're asking them to take more of a pay cut than, they probably want to. So that's my opinion on it. I'm not necessarily like, let's just not play. Like, let's just throw it in the trash right now. I think they should keep talking about it. And then once, we're leading up to where we're allowed to do sports again, make a final decision on it.
Yeah, and also I think that's what really has to do is about the pay, because as they say, the players want 114 games because at least in terms of the prorated contract, they'd get about 70% of their of what would have been their normal salary. But now that they kicked it down to 50 games, that's only like 30% of the salary. So like you said before, if you're a valuable pitcher, it's like, hey, I'm only getting paid like 1/3 of my salary, and do I want to jeopardize my arm for next season? So
yeah.
That's kind of that. So I kind of feel they might go closer to the original proposal, which was 82 games, at least from there. Just so, it's between, it's a nice even number between 114 and 50, because, to have 1/3 of a season and you're going to judge the best team in baseball based on that, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. You at least have to have around 80, at least half a season.
Yeah. It helps my Dodgers out a lot. We won't run out of gas.
And so how do you feel? How do you? I mean, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I just think that again, if you go, you got to have at least half the season. You got to have at least 80-something games, because baseball, it's a marathon. You say, because it's not about of course you want to get hot at the right time, but it's about having a good team or having the best team over the course of a long period of time. That's just what baseball is fundamentally. Even though people complain that. The baseball season's too long, they should limit the amount, but that's the way it's supposed to be. And at the end of the day, you have your, whatever it is, like 7 or 8 best teams in each league, and then you have your playoffs. But, 50 games is such a flash in the pan. Like, you could have teams that really, honestly, just garbage teams getting into the playoffs and being a World Series champion. It's like, all right, great, you had baseball, but like a team that would ordinarily just be a last place team is now your champion. I just think it hurts your whole game. It hurts your whole brand. So you got to have as many games as possible. And, with these owners, like, they're making money. They're making billions of them. And so it's like, okay, look, I understand you don't want to pay players a full salary for half a season, but you get it closer to at least the 80. Give us half a season. And I think it makes sense for the players.
Yeah.
Keeps the fans happy. It's probably the best solution.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, do you think if, let's say, they don't play the season at all, now, in terms of fans, who do you think the fans are going to be more upset with? You think they'll be more upset with the owners or the players being greedy, or this, they're just going to say, screw this game, and you can see a lot of fans walk away from baseball like in '94?
That's interesting, because the owners are trying to keep money in their pocket, and then the players are trying to keep their money. So, I mean, I think they'll hate baseball altogether. Honestly, all parties involved. I mean, I feel like whoever it takes two to what's the term? It takes two to tango. So I mean, without the players and the owners agreeing on something, then I feel like the fans shouldn't really be taking any sides. I mean, because right now I'm a fan. And, I'm not picking. I mean, I'm looking at both sides, and, the fact that the owners are not really trying to give, and neither are the players. At some point, if they can't figure anything out by the end of this month, I honestly don't see no season happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the schedule. They at least want to get at least 3 weeks or 3 weeks of spring training in, kind of and hope to get the season started by early July. But if you play 50 games, then like your season's gonna be done by like early September. So just the whole thing's out of whack.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
they're gonna have. Was it gonna be like a second spring training on top of that? I mean, they kind of had a
Yeah.
partial one already.
Yeah, but I guess got to get the pitches worked up. And another problem too is that obviously in South Korea, I mean they opened the baseball obviously much sooner, and you're just hearing some stories now that a lot of their pitchers is reporting problems just because again everyone got ramped up in February, then they shut themselves down. They're going to get them ramped up again.
Right.
I mean, you're going to see a lot of pitching injuries, and if you're like $1 million arm, or if you're about to get that big contract, like why would you want to? Like Blake Snell, why would you want to like pitch?
Right.
Yeah, and we touched on what Snell was saying on one of our episodes, but as a fan, I think I would probably not really place the blame on the owners a little more, but maybe shake my head at the owners a little bit more, just because they're more wealthy than even the players are, and they're a lot more wealthy than a lot of the fans are. So for that to be the thing that negates the season, I think it falls a little bit more on them. They should be the ones to sacrifice a little bit more because they can afford to take a hit more than the players or the fans or the people that work for the organization even that, are going to lose a lot of money by there not being a baseball season.
Yeah, and they're going to, again, to make money because really the way these owners and stuff, they make money is through the TV. So as long as the game's televised, they're going to take a hit with the fan attendance and you can't sell hot dogs and stuff like that. At the same time, too, you don't have to buy beer and hot dogs, so you're going to save money there as well. So they all make the money from the TV. So as long as it's televised, they'll get their money that way. And, of course, they're going to get the advertisement money because, every ketchup and soda wants to put their label on, during the broadcast. So for them to say that. So I'm holding out hope. I just think they'll do it. And it'll probably be closer to 80 games, not 50. I mean, 114 would be nice because it's more of it's closer to 162. Yeah. But I just think they'll land somewhere around, 82. That's probably, I think how it would go.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Definitely.
Now for, just players in the game in general, whether it's Dodgers and Atlanta or what do you think, what players excite you? Who do you look forward watching? Who do you think is maybe the best, maybe ball player of right now, our generation active in the game?
It's got to be Mike Trout. He's young, he's powerful, he's big, he's just a once in a lifetime player. Don't get me wrong, I love Ronald Acuna, and he's young, and and he's great too. But he's only been in the league a few years. Trout's been a little bit longer, and he's been just putting in that work, and he's exciting, and I feel like, he's the face of baseball right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. And now,
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, in terms of him being the best player, maybe give us a unique perspective, just being in LA County. I know here in New York, for example, if there's like a really good Met player, like Yankee fans kind of hate him a little bit, and vice versa. If there's like a really good, a Met player or a Yankee player, is like the Dodgers fans have like a hatred for Trout? Like how do they perceive Trout?
So I was actually about to bring that up. I watched a video that the Angels had, during, it was last season or season before, and they were interviewing their fans before the game, and they were asking about Mike Trout. I think it was his birthday or something like that, but they were asking about Mike Trout, what their opinion on him was. And there was like 3 or 4 Dodger fans at the game saying, we just came to watch Mike Trout. So, I like Mike Trout, but I'm a sports fan. So, even when, I still like Kawhi Leonard, and I still like all those guys in LA, even though I'm a Lakers fan. So I don't know how everyone else feels, but as far as Dodger fans that I know, there's not really a hatred towards Mike Trout. I think the Angels-Dodgers rivalry is a little different from like a Giants-Dodgers rivalry where we hate all of them. It's more of like a fun rivalry.
Gotcha. Now, and also in terms of just, in terms of like Mike Trout, because I think baseball, again, I think they miss out on not promoting him more. I mean, he should be like the LeBron James or something, but
yeah,
definitely.
What do you think it is that this baseball can't really put these players, out in front and make them just like household names the way they could do with like a Tom Brady or a LeBron James? Like, why can't baseball do that?
I just think it's the market that Trout is in. You think Angels, you don't really think of when I hear Angels, I think about the movie Angels in the Outfield. I don't really think of a team. Oh man, I want to go watch the Angels, or man, those Angels. you just don't see them in the playoffs frequently like the Nationals or the Astros. Sorry, I know I'm just saying they have been, but Yankees and these teams that are just there year in and year out, and and they just get more of a spotlight. Trout, every now and then he'll be on Sunday Night Baseball or something, or one of these primetime games, but like you said, that's just not enough, and I feel like just because of the market he's in and the type of team he's on, and he's stuck there now having that massive contract. So, I feel like if he was in a different team, and I feel like LA is more of a popular team than the Angels out here, So I just think that, that's the issue with him is the market that he's in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Rene is saying. It's not necessarily the Angels' fault or anything, but they're still they haven't been winning with Mike Trout. They haven't been getting him in front of a lot of fans in the playoffs. Mike Trout is as talented as guys that were superstars like Derek Jeter or like Alex Rodriguez for the Yankees, maybe even more talented.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's on the Angels, they're not featured a lot. Even here in LA, you only see the Dodgers on TV. You don't see the Angels unless they play the Dodgers or they're playing the Yankees or something. Here, you'll be seeing it on TV, like on primetime television. So I think that's a part of it. Another part of it is I think football and basketball overall are kind of viewed by fans as like a universal. Like you have to like football and baseball or football and basketball. Sorry, baseball doesn't have that feel where fans are committed to baseball, football, and basketball. You know what I mean? Baseball fans are diehard baseball fans. Don't get me wrong; they love baseball. I love baseball, but not everyone thinks that way. Just the general sports fan isn't necessarily into baseball as much as are into football with Tom Brady and stuff. So and LeBron James. So I think that also plays into it. But yeah, the whole being in a smaller market team with the Angels, with the Dodgers right here too, that kind of hurts him a little bit. Even if he was on a team like the Giants or something like that, it would even be better for him.
Yeah, I'm just a little worried about from my end because I know now the Angels have Joe Madden as the manager, and very good manager. He basically kind of built the Tampa Bay Rays when they were kind of at least made it to the World Series and kind of a thorn in the Yankees side, and then went to the Cubs. Again, he brings a championship there. Now he's going to the Angels, and I'm just worried, a resurgence from that part because, again, the Angels are probably the biggest pain in the butt for the Yankees for like, a good 10, 15 years. I mean, especially the Yankees go on the West Coast. They're lucky to win one game in that ballpark for some reason. It's just like a house of horrors. So I'm just hoping they don't get a return to that, and I feel they would with Madden.
Yeah. It could be a turnaround. I mean, but again, changes happen every to teams every year, and some coaches mesh well with newer teams, and some they don't even last that a year. So, but I guess we'll see what happens. But again, until then, all I think about is Danny Glover in that movie. He's in the outfield, so that's pretty much it for that. With me.
His track history shows that he's going to do something there, and that'll be fun. That'll be fun to see the Angels in the playoffs again.
Yeah, I think he will. And for some reason, this is funny. Like literally yesterday, I was thinking of that scene towards the end where like Tony Danza is like, because he's a smoker in there, and like kind of the Angel's going to be on his shoulder because he's going to. I was just thinking about that scene for some reason like 2 days ago. So maybe you guys have like psychic ability as well. Like the cheesiest movie, but I was thinking about it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it really was.
I will say this, if anything about the Angels, if you're ever in town or if anybody that's listening is ever in town, don't just go to Dodger Stadium. Angel Stadium is beautiful. Angel Stadium is one of my favorite sports stadiums in sports.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look when they see. I mean, of course, I like when the Yankees win there, but yeah, I mean, the rock and the waterfall. It's like and
it's beautiful.
It's a great looking ballpark. It's just I used to hate it because I would say like around 2002, 2006, like the Yankees would just get killed like 13-1, and thing at Boo too. Like maybe you guys, obviously we're watching the game. It's like 11 o'clock at night, 1 a.m. It's like all right. We're watching this game, the Yankees lose, and then, all right, and for your reward for that, you get 4 hours of sleep and you got to get up 6 a.m. to go. So it was like a double whammy.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with me out here when the Braves come out to play the Dodgers last year. And I went in to check the game out. I've actually been out here only about less than a year and a half, so I'm originally from Connecticut. So being out here and catching the Braves game, other than going to to Citi Field to watch them play the Mets. You know, it was kind of cool because they have like a museum type of thing over in Dodger Stadium, and it's a real nice field. But that game, we were mounting a comeback, and then all of a sudden, the Dodgers decide to hit a couple home runs and call it a night for us. So it was a cool experience, but at the same time, you kind of want that win. You don't go to see your team take a loss, but I'm pretty sure that was the last loss we'll suffer from the Dodgers. So
oh, the last one.
Last one. I mean, yeah, last one.
Okay.
Because
come on, man.
Come on, man.
That's a good one. Yeah. Come on, man.
I have to ask you about that. So, I noticed you have the Atlanta Braves hat. Now you say from Connecticut. So, how does that come about?
Well, it started. I was like maybe 10 or 11 years old. I was watching. It was a World Series. It was Yankees and Braves, 96. I was just tired of the Yankees. I was tired of them always winning. I was tired of hearing it. I was like, I was watching the Braves, and Chipper and Andrew, Bobby Cox, and Javi Lopez, all these guys, and I was like, man, I just liked the energy. I liked, the pitching, obviously, with Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. And I just continued to follow them, even though we lost that year. I just continued to follow them, and I just got attached to them, and they continued to be my team. That's how that all began for me.
Yeah, I remember the World Series very vividly. Obviously, the Yankees won it. Yeah, but that was this is a great World Series. Just at least for the Yankees to beat like Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine,
Right.
Kind of figure like, all right, it was nice we got here, but I think we had like really no shot. And I think, once they had that comeback, they were down in the series, obviously 0-2, make it 2-2, and then squeak out that win game 5. Once they brought it back to the Bronx, I was very confident they would win, but I was like shocked they won that 96 series. And so for them to win, that was just,
Yeah, but being in Connecticut and living in Fairfield County specifically, just nothing but Yankee fans and Mets fans, obviously. So when I would go to Citi Field and I'd have my my Freddie Freeman shirt, I'd get the looks. But every time we would go play the Mets, it's a win. And at the end of the game, I leave, and you got those drunk guys. They're running their mouth, and I'm with my wife, and they're saying all these giving me obscene gestures and all that stuff, and I'm like, what? They're salty, they're upset, they suffered yet another loss against the Braves, and this time there's no Chipper involved. So what's your excuse? Freddie Freeman's the new killer, So and then I went to one game against the Yankees. It was like it was interleague play, and we squeaked by. We won 4-3. So, and it was just again, it's just cool. It's just not only go see these because I went to the newer version of Yankee Stadium, and just seeing these just going there and experiencing these venues. It's just a real experience to enjoy.
Yeah. And it's funny, a couple of weeks ago, I had a guest on who kind of the opposite. He was living in Atlanta, but grew up as a Yankee fan. So I guess just, random stuff. So, let's get really quickly back to your podcast. Again, it's at Come On Man Sports. Again, follow them on Instagram. So what was like the bloopers in terms of making the name? Like what other names were you considering for this?
Well, here's the thing. We have actually a fantasy football league, and I was we were the creator of it, but Shawn, like he stated, he was overseas, so I kind of oversaw the whole league and whatnot. And I initially came up with the name for a league which is called Come On Man Football Fantasy Football League. And pretty much when we started the podcast, I was like, well, why don't we just continue? Why don't we just use that as part of our podcast? And that's it. We didn't try. I don't think we tried to figure out or put a different name. No. Did we, Shawn?
No, it's a fun name. It's a fun name. Like the second we said, Come On Man Sports Podcast, we were like, that's it. That's what we're calling it.
All right. So, I appreciate you both coming on. Again, it's Rene Figueroa Jr., Shawn Michaels. Are you the HBK kid?
I am not him, but I know of him.
Okay. But yeah, Rene and Shawn, again, it's at Come On Man Sports. Follow them on Instagram like right now. And again, you catch their show on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. And, just Google it, as I say.
Yeah,
but,
it's there.
Yeah, it'll come up.
So I think the way we have to end this, I think I'm going to do a 3 count, and we're all just going to do Come On Man.
I like it.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Come on,
man.
Gotta try it one more time. That was a little slow.
All right.